Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I'm reviewing a PC game called Long Live the Queen, a visual novel slash role-playing game developed by Hanako Games. Hanako Games, as far as I'm aware, is a Western company, but considering that the game is a visual novel, which is a specifically Japanese genre, I thought, it's pretty safe to cover here. So basically, what's the plot of Long Live the Queen? Long Live the Queen, basically the plot is you play as a princess called Elodie. She's the Princess of Nova. Her mom has just died previous to the beginning of the game. And on her 15th birthday, which is 40 weeks from the beginning of the game, she will be coronated queen. And the player must keep her alive throughout those 40 weeks, dealing with possible rebellions, assassination attempts, trade disputes, etc., etc., until she can be coronated as queen. And that's the basic plot of the story. How good is this plot? The plot itself is very good. Always engaging, full of intrigue, etc., etc. It's a very well written plot, which is even more impressive when you realize how it's a visual novel, which has many different branching paths, which I find very impressive. Now, I mentioned it was a role-playing game. Basically, this takes its form in a bunch of skills that Elodie has. At the beginning of the game, she has 0 in all of these skills, and at the beginning of each week, you must set out what her classes will be for that week, and those classes will train her in a specific skill. These skills vary from court manners to military, trading, economics, religious, etc., etc. And the benefit of these skills is to allow you to pass checks. Now, what these checks do, they can offer you extra choices, which you might not have previously been able to do. It might also pick the correct choice for you. On the other hand, if you fail these checks, you're going to have a lot of limited options. You're going to be driven into a corner, unable to pick correct choices. And of course, you're unable to train up all these skills to max. So basically, you've got to decide which skills are the most important. Now, these skills, I have an issue with, just on a little hand. Basically, some of these skills are kind of not useful. A good example of that would be animal handling, which deals with horses, falconry, and dogs. As far as I can tell, those skills are quite unhelpful. You rarely come across an instance where you acquire one of those, and in the events that you do, they're easily skippable. So, and whereas other skills are far more useful, for example, military or public speaking, etc., etc. So I just find that this skill usefulness is kind of unbalanced, which I would have wished for a more even distribution of skills and checks, but that's just my opinion. And now, these skills are influenced by mood. There are 8 different moods that Elodie can be in, and these grant various benefits and penalties to her skill learning. So, for example, if she's angry, she'll probably learn sword fighting much easier, whereas she'll have difficulty learning some other skills. Now, the problem I have with this system is that you are not aware, at least on first glance, which moods affect what skills. So that is problematic in my opinion. I think it would have been far more useful if tooltips were used to explain, okay, so this mood improves these skills and worsens these, etc., etc. I just thought that would have been a logical thing to do, but that they chose not to do that, and I don't know why. Graphically, this game is very pleasant looking. As a visual novel, it mainly uses kind of static images, heavily anime based, so all the characters have the kind of big, cutesy eyes, etc., etc. Very little animation. There is animation here and there, but mainly you're going to be looking at static pictures. It's pretty, and it certainly serves its role very well, but it is quite basic, so I'll just warn you on that. The music itself, you're gonna hear the same music over and over again quite frequently, which I wasn't too keen on. There is some very strong music in there. I particularly like the piece where you know, an event is happening and it's problematic and it's treacherous. A very strong musical piece comes into play then. But besides that, the music score could be quite improved. Now, from what I've been describing so far, it sounds quite negative, but I just want to stress I actually enjoyed this game quite a lot. I've played through it twice. Well, when I say played through it twice, what I mean by that is I've reached the end twice in 2 different branches. I've actually played it far more frequently, but I kept ending up dead. So you're going to want to save quite frequently throughout this game, so that you're able to go back and correct decisions that eventually lead you to die. And these deaths are quite various, from getting blown up with magic, to getting stabbed with a sword, to getting poisoned, etc, etc. This may be a cutesy looking game, but it's fairly vicious in its difficulty and its deaths. But overall, it's an excellent game. I would highly recommend it. If you want to try out this game, there's a demo on the Hanako Games website, which permits you to play 10 weeks of timeline in Long Live the Queen. Now, you're not going to really find much difficulty in those first 10 weeks, so if you think it's going to be easy, don't be deceived. You're going to spend a lot of your time dying, in the week 30s list. So it's deceptively difficult. But overall, it's a game that I would highly recommend that you, at the very least, try. It's relatively cheap as well. You can get it on Steam for €9, which I'm not sure what that translates out to in other currencies, but it's fairly cheap overall. And it's important that we support these types of games on Steam. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.